I'll lead. Hey everybody, and welcome to Heathen Talk episode, whatever the hell number this is.
47?
Are we counting the Cascadia Moot show as a numbered show?
I don't think so. We're going to put that as a special edition, aren't we?
Something like that.
I don't
Anyway,
know.
47.2 according to our great friend Tubals. Anyhow, as you can tell, we have all made it back from the wet and wild lands of Cascadia, and we are thrilled to be here. Tonight, we're going to talk a little bit about Cascadia Moot. We're going to take some questions, and there was something else we were going to do, but I don't remember because I'm still really tired.
We're going to talk about upcoming Heathen events.
Yeah. As Thorin and I try to say the same thing at the same time.
There you go.
Wouldn't be Heathen Talk if we didn't agree aggressively. So, that said, if you want to find us, you can find us on Facebook.com/Heathen Talk. We are on Twitter at Heathen_Talk. We are even at our own website, which we'd really appreciate if you went and read some of our blog posts and, you know, just kind of told us what we were doing wrong at heathentalk.com.
And we have something new on Heathen Talk, as in it just went live about 2 seconds ago. We have some new shirts and some new swag. We have a new... I actually had several people tell me that they like the women's shirt that we have, which I'm wearing. So we have a men's version now. It's a black and white logo on a dark colored shirt. We have black coffee mugs now with a black and white, a kind of an inverse logo. So you can... that was done especially for Thorin. And
because Thorin lost his coffee mug at Cascadia Moot.
Yeah, some poor little unsuspecting Mason girl is gonna get a Heathen Talk mug at summer camp this year. And then
Did Masons let girls in?
Yeah, that was a girls' camp we were at.
Oh, I didn't know the Masons let girls in.
Yeah,
Good for them.
There's like a women's organization within. There's anyway.
Eastern
Rainbow
Star.
Girls. Yeah, Eastern Star and Rainbow Girls. And then we have a great new shirt, and if you haven't seen this, it's a little punny, but it's simply letting people know that you're weird. And that's YOURWYRD. All of these are available on the Heathen Talk site. They're not in the swag section yet because I'm trying to redesign it, and I got pissed off at it last night and stopped. So, but they are up on the blog, and I'm about to post them on Facebook and also over in the IRC because I'm a fun person, and you should be in the IRC during our show because it's a lot of fun.
Absolutely. Well, especially when the Theadsmen show up and completely derail everything.
So for those of you that are actually watching tonight, you're going to have to forgive me and to deal with the fact that I'm going to be mowing down in front of you for a little while. Time ran short today. So, pizza.
So I just want to say that Cascadia Moot was awesome, guys. So good job with it. It was nice to be somewhere as a guest and not have to do a lot. And
even if I had to make you not do a lot.
I know.
Lauren is like totally mom. She wanted to do everything.
I'm just so used. That's just. I think that's also kind of a cultural thing. Because in the South, you just kind of are expected to just pitch in if you're a woman and you show up to an event. But it was great. Venue was nice. Everything. It was really just a great job, guys. So I just wanted to start the show out with that. And also, I apologize. Let me actually get over here where you can see my fancy dancy new horn. And no, that was
a pretty fancy horn.
That is so invigorating
Really
for those
was.
of you at home who are just listening. But I was gifted with a horn from the guys this weekend. It is a Cascadian themed horn with an owl on it, so that I can aggressively agree with Toby every time I drink. It's great.
So anyways, before we get into talking more about things like Cascadia Moot, we have our usual tradition on this show, and we don't even break that for food. Sorry, excuse me. Delicious pizza. This is the best pizza ever, by the way. We've got our toast, and tonight we're actually going to be toasting somebody who was at Cascadia Moot. He's the chieftain of a tribe local to me. He's just a quick jump across the water from me on the ferry, and that's Alf Herigstad. He's the chieftain of Hawksearth Kindred, and honestly, he's just a really solid guy. He's I don't know what better way to compliment the man. He's I usually get really, really twitchy when I meet the chieftains of other tribes because I don't know what sort of crazy stuff is about to come out of their mouths that I'm going to disagree with. And to be honest with you, Alf and I don't disagree on much. And where we do, it's very civil, which is another thing I can't always say about about interactions with other heathens. We talk to each other, we listen to each other's point of view. Sometimes he changes, sometimes I change. Sometimes neither of us change and we walk away and call it through. But either way, he's definitely, in my eyes, even though this isn't really all that important, worthy of the honor his tribe has given him. I also want to point out that Alf has his own podcast. It's not a heathen podcast, but it is a podcast that many heathens could benefit from. It's called Being a Better Man. And they're just little short episodes, between 10 and 30 minutes, which is a good thing because he does 3 of them a week, where he discusses various topics pertaining to what it takes to be a good man. And I hadn't actually heard about this podcast until this weekend when he mentioned it to me, and I went through and binge listened to a little bit of it earlier today, and it was good. I mean, like I said, it's a non-heathen podcast, but it still sounds an awful lot like somebody's taking all those facepalm moments from the Havamal that are big balls of duh, but people still need to be told, and he's telling them. So if anybody's interested in either checking that out or sending it to somebody who really needs to take a look at it, his website's www.beingabettermanpodcast.com. But anyways, Alf, here's to you.
To Alf.
To Alf.
I also want to thank him and his tribe for being very good guests this weekend, being extremely helpful, and definitely being people that we want to work with going forward.
Now I have to say that it was wonderful to meet a young person from their tribe, because you can always tell a lot about a tribe by how their young people who are raised in the tribe are, and if Will is any indication, they are a rockin' awesome tribe.
Yeah, Will's a good kid, and he's definitely going places. Hell, he's already at some places. So.
Yeah. He's more mature than about half the heathen than I know sometimes.
Easily.
Hey, it's not nice to talk about me like that. I mean, come on. I'm right here.
I wasn't going to put you in that half, but
Well, Josh, come on. Will's only a couple years younger than you, right? You'll catch up.
Ow. Oh.
Why do I put up with this shit from you?
So I want to start with Thorin, because he's drinking something awesome and he has a mouthful of pizza, and therefore I'm a mean person because I waited for him to take a bite. But I want to talk with Thorin with our usual "What you drinking?" As he is chewing his pizza thoughtfully. Josh, what are you drinking?
I am drinking a gift beer. As I was getting ready to take off from Cascadia Moot, Toby pulled me aside and gave me a bottle of Crispy Apple Turnover, which is an imperial brown ale brewed with apples, and it is quite delicious.
Yummy.
My apologies. There are some things in life that should not be rushed, and delicious pizza is one of those things. So I am also drinking a gift bottle, also given to me by Toby. This one's called Cozy Up. It's a milk stout brewed with Dominican cocoa nibs. It proves that Toby really, truly knows me because it says right on the back of the bottle, I don't know if anybody can see it, but right above the barcode it says not suitable for vegans. So Toby really knows me. But this stuff is really good. Toby, thank you very much. Lauren?
I have yet another vintage 2016 Diet Dr. Pepper.
That stuff will kill you.
I was actually going to drink tonight, and then I started a new job this week, and I was sure enough fell asleep and woke up about 2 minutes before we went on air. So, I decided maybe drinking during the show and being tired is probably not the best combination.
Maybe not.
Especially if I don't have Toby here to argue with.
Well, I'm sure he is hanging out in the IRC, so he'll shout insults at us via the fans. That'd be great.
It's great. Oh man. So once again, guys, great job, and I also want to take just a second and brag on Thorin and his wife for being amazing hosts for me when I was in Seattle. Above and beyond, really great. We had way too much fun. I had way too much fun with Thorin's wife, I'll be honest with you. I got to see all kinds of the city, and it was great. I may post some of my pictures, so it was a lot of fun.
I'm glad you had a good time. There's nobody leaves my house without knowing they suffered my hospitality, and a special effort has to
be a few times.
Well, special effort has to be put in when you're trying to show hospitality in Cascadia to a Southerner who probably has lowered expectations. I know, Lauren, you're more Midwest or Southern Midwest.
Mid-South.
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 What was that insult she gave us? Was
I almost thought you were Southern.
Yeah. And I only took that a little personally.
Well, to be fair, I had a little bit of an advantage. My wife spent part of her childhood not far from where Lauren lives, so.
More like your wife spent part of her childhood pretty much where I graduated high school. So, yeah, that's you did have an advantage. But anyway, you guys were just great, and Seattle was lovely. And I swear it was like I did almost feel like it was a cult. Because it just kept going, move to Cascadia. I feel like everyone around me is just, look how awesome it is. You want to move here. Oh, wouldn't you like to move here? It really started feeling like I was being indoctrinated. And then I realized I like sunshine. So
we get sunshine.
We do, just often enough so that we really appreciate it.
Yeah, but I already have a vitamin D deficiency. I can't imagine how bad it would be if I moved up there.
That's what they make sun lamps for.
Excuses. If my tropical snakes can live in Cascadia, you can live here.
He's got a point. My downstairs neighbor has 2 snakes and a gecko now.
I didn't get to meet those. I'll have to do that when I get up there next.
The second snake's brand new. It's big. You're going to like it.
I do love snakes.
And Toby is sitting back shuddering right now. We can't see him. You don't know about it. Toby hates us right now. I guarantee it.
But Toby also hates us because you were talking about pizza, and I just have to say, on Friday, I'm going out to the best pizza in Eugene. So, so we were going to talk about Cascadia Moot and talk about what we did and not just the people we met, but honestly, I was most surprised by the insight that a lot of our guests, even the ones who are really new heathens, brought to the table.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, there weren't really anybody there that didn't have something to offer when we started getting into, bigger discussions. I mean, that wasn't really what the point of the moot was about. It was really about just getting people together, but you can't get people like us together without us trying to argue over things. And, really everybody brought something good to the table. You'll hear some of those people when we eventually get our Live from Cascadia Moot episode out.
Absolutely. And I do have to I do feel like I need to throw this out here because we did have one very regular IRC person and friend come, and that was Robin. So loved meeting her. That was so great.
Robin was great.
I want to use this as an opportunity to shame the heathen small C community a little bit. Robin lives in Massachusetts.
She does.
If you get out your map right now, you can go on Google United States of America. You'll notice that Seattle and Massachusetts are about as far away as you can get and still be in the continental United States.
pretty close.
And she still made it out to an event. Just saying, if a 2-hour drive is too much for you, maybe you should reprioritize.
And she doesn't drive, so she took all kinds of transit like me. So,
well, that's another thing, real quick, that I wanted to throw out there is that there were some people that came that didn't drive, and you know what? It completely and perfectly worked out, largely because of one of Josh's good friends who also came from quite a bit away, Bree, who came up from California. I believe she's one of your old friends, Josh?
Yeah, we've known each other since I was in high school, and she's a wonderful person, and when she found out people needed rides, she stepped up.
Yeah,
I mean,
she stopped and picked Robin up at the airport, and she also picked up one of our other guests, Brent, from the Bellevue area. So, and you know, as if Robin wasn't already cool enough, she brought host gifts for us.
Mine's down in my living room.
It's okay. Mine is right here. She brought me a quadcopter. I cannot express how awesome this thing is. I have had so much fun with it. I've only gotten it tangled in my wife's hair once, and she has declared revenge, which she tried to take today, and I am now waiting for her to try to take it again since it missed.
I'm behind you. I'm behind you on that one. I'm behind you.
Yeah,
you get tangled in hair, and no.
My animals are terrified of it. Though my cat did manage to take it out of the air once, which I was rather proud of her about. So yeah, thank you so much for this. This is so much fun. I had to recharge it so many times already.
And while we're on animals, can we just talk about the incredibly adorable animals at Cascadia Moot just for a second? Because I'm the creepy dog lady, and oh my god, it was so great.
We had 4 dogs at Moot.
Yeah, the other host of the event, who's not a Heathen Talk person, Kate, she brought her little dog, and oh my goodness, he is the best little dog in the world.
Well, you know, I got to throw something in there right there too. Is her little dog Bullet? He's a small dog, and
he's a Chihuahua Italian Greyhound, folks.
Yes, he is a small dog, not quite a purse dog or anything, but he's pretty tiny, and he's also young and has never really been around crowds before. I mean, at the beginning of the weekend when we went to pick Kate up, just having a couple of new strange people around Bullet, and he was not happy about it. By the end of the weekend, he was everybody's friend because everybody was super chill with him. That is like the most socialized dog on the planet now.
Plus, it didn't hurt that I think everyone gave him at least a small piece of wild boar. So I think the dog gained a pound over the weekend too.
Oh, probably.
I also want to point out that Kate went out and had a little tiny silver Mjolnir made for Bullet.
She really does. If you check
awesome.
out the Cascadia Moot Facebook page, I do know she posted a picture of that right before the event. So it's on there. But you were going on about dogs, Lauren?
It was great. I mean, you know, and it just like I said, I figured, you know, we would talk about, we had a lot of great people guests, but man, the dogs were great too. And Robin brought her dog, who is actually a service dog in training. We had 2 great big dogs, and I think at some point all the dogs thought they were about the same size and got along. You know, it was just a lot of fun, and it was such a great environment for that. The campground was nice. It was. I will say that I would probably go back and say that it was not handicap accessible, but it was still nice. And it was a little weird because I'm so used to, you know, places with air conditioning everywhere. So
we don't go much in for that around here.
yeah.
But no, it was. Yeah, go ahead, Josh.
It was a fantastic event. I mean, Friday night I was up to like 1:30 talking to people.
Yeah.
And it was just constantly good conversation, and really drama-free for heathens. It was amazing.
Yeah, I don't think I saw even any seriously heated debate going on, which sort of blew my mind a little bit because there were heathens from most of the spectrum there.
Hey, yeah, I got into some pretty like not it wasn't spirited debate, but it was all very much in good, in good intention and good meaning. Nobody was we could disagree about something and still not walk away with anybody being upset, just merely
Right.
thinking the other person was wrong.
Well, I know that I agreed aggressively with Alf a few times.
I had someone completely change my view on what makes a warrior. I mean, and that was just in like a 10-minute conversation. They brought up points that I hadn't ever considered, and it was fantastic.
And well, this is why we do things in person.
Oh yeah, I mean, and I'll say this. I was very fortunate to meet someone who I have argued with on the internet many times, and yet she and I got along very well. And even though we've had some spirited debate on Facebook, we got along really well face to face, and I'm so happy that I met her. Walking away from that, not knowing, literally coming into that event, never have meeting anyone that was there face to face. I can't think of a person that was there that I didn't enjoy their company. Honestly, I'm sitting here trying to think. I don't know that I did.
Well, my friend Bree came up from Reading. I was literally the only person at the event she knew, and we didn't spend most of the time hanging out together. She immediately jumped in and joined the conversations with everybody and had a wonderful time just getting to know complete strangers.
Oh yeah, I mean, Bree, you get 5 minutes with her, it's like talking to an old friend.
Oh, I like Bree a lot.
Yeah, she was cool. She's welcome back anytime. But
give me 2 seconds. I gotta shut a door, otherwise you'll be hearing my roommate.
I gotta say there are a lot of positives that came out of this. We were talking a little bit about it pre-show, and one thing I can say is there were a lot of people there that don't have tribe. Not for lack of wanting it, but because they just don't know people, and they've tried to do a little bit of online networking. Some of them have, and just come up empty on it. But I would be really surprised if this first Cascadia Moot doesn't produce a tribe or two in time. Maybe not by next year, but a lot of connections were made of people that are realizing that there are others around. I know
I had a conversation with one of the guests, and he was asking, very pointed questions about how to start going about finding people. And I was able to tell him, talk to Jenna. She started a study group that turned into a tribe, and I know, based on my knowledge of this person, that he's going to have a tribe within the next year or two.
Yeah. And well, I mean, when we see that question online a lot too about, how does one go about finding tribe or forming tribe? And well, one really good answer to that question is exactly what we just spent the weekend doing. If I can't say this enough, I know we've said it before, and it'll get said again, and I'll say it right now. If you have tribe, or you have people, you have connections, if this kind of thing is something you can do, then do it. Me, Josh, Toby, and Kate put this together, but we did it because we can, because we know each other, we know people in the area, and we have a few resources. We get a little bit of media savvy involved, because it's a lot easier nowadays than it would have been even 10 years ago because of the internet. I mean, how many people did we reach that we would never have reached by regular word of mouth, because we were able to just set up a simple Facebook page and direct people to it. or people could find it, because I there's 3 different large Facebook groups that I know of alone for the Pacific Northwest, and I regularly see questions about, hey, who's in my area? Is there anything going on in this area? Are there any pub moots? Are there any meetups? There's a desire for them. So if you're in a position where you can handle trying to throw something together, even if it is just a pub moot, then do it. Just do it. Just don't ask questions. Just do it. Get people together in one spot and good things happen.
Well, and the other important bit to that is when you start to do things like that, ask people who have already done it for advice.
Oh, yeah.
If you're setting up a study group, send a message to someone who you know has already done it.
Definitely.
You're going to try and do Midwest Moot or Illinois Moot or whatever, right? Shoot us a message and ask for advice, and we will tell you what we did and what we wouldn't do again, and we're going to try and help.
Or shoot us a message, and I can put, especially in a lot like Midwest, shoot us a message, and I can put you in touch with someone like Destiny, who runs who runs Winter Moot in the Midwest. Somebody that has a lot of experience, who can help you, who knows about venues and that kind of stuff. I mean, for all of the talk that we sometimes hammer home about the difference between big C and little C community. The fact of the matter is, if you're trying to do something in heathenry, if you're actually trying to out there and do something in the real world, there are so many people who are so willing to say, hey, that's awesome, what can I do to help?
And that's exactly what the reputation is for. If you know someone who has a good reputation and they can recommend someone for you to talk to, that's a great thing.
It really is. And I mean, there were people that showed up, people of worth, that I had never met before, never even heard of in this area, which was a hell of a thing.
Yeah.
There's a couple of them that I'm in contact with now that it's a great thing that I am. They will be the type of people that will be immensely helpful to me and mine. They'll be helpful for future things like this. They're the type of people that I know, if they start getting themselves out there, are going to be shaping local heathenry in a good way. And they're the type of people that are going to be heading their own tribes in the next 5 to 10 years. So there's one of them that I guarantee he already would be, I think, if he didn't have the constraints of being in the Navy to deal with.
That guy is amazing.
Yeah.
He really is.
I could spend hours talking to him.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, here's a beautiful thing for those of you that play along with us on a regular basis, and go to our website and read all the wonderful things that Toby writes and Josh writes and Lauren writes, and that I never write, because I've been in a dry spell on figuring out something to write about. He sends me one message earlier today, and now I've got something to write about. Now that I said that, I'll have to write about it, but it's like that's the type of people that we need to be running into, people that make us think.
And I think that even the kind of the ripple effect. I know that I came back and got last night we have my tribe has a weekly study group that we do on Google Hangouts, because we're so spread out and kids, and it just works out for us to do it that way as a supplement to our face-to-face stuff. And we, I was talking about Cascadia Moot and this, that, and the other, and we're like, oh yeah, so we're geared up on our pub moots and all our other stuff, because I think going to these events can also be important, because it gives you a chance to get reinvigorated. It gives you a chance to get new ideas and to get inspired that that doesn't necessarily happen in your day-to-day life.
Well, something I saw this weekend too was along those lines is, I think Brian Smith's the one that I originally heard the 5%, 15%, 80% concept from. 5% of the people out there are the leaders getting stuff done, 15% are following the leaders and doing their best to help, and 80% of them are being dragged along kicking and screaming to catch up with the rest. And you know what? I saw some 80%ers this weekend that became 15%ers. You know, it just changed their whole mindset, whole outlook on things. And you know, at least one of them was a pretty important thing for me to see it happen to him.
And I think that something that's important to remember is, you know, if you're listening to the show right now, whether you're watching us on YouTube or you're listening to the archive when this goes up in a couple of weeks, who do you really want to be remembered as? What do you want your reputation to be? Because, you know, doing this kind of stuff is hard work. Putting these events together, and we actually have a few events I want to talk about coming up from people who have asked us to promote them. And to remind you guys, we do have an event page on the Heathen Talk, and we are happy to put up your event so long as it meets. There's a form and there's criteria. As long as you meet the criteria, we're happy to put that up, just to let you guys know. But yeah, I mean, who do you want to be? Who do you want to be remembered as? You know, I don't want to be remembered as somebody who just showed up.
Yeah, you know, and very few people just showed up this weekend. I gotta say that.
Yeah, I mean, we had from the pitfalls of us showing up late to site, which was fantastic.
We were not the first people. The hosts were not the first people on site. Pro tip: try not to let that happen to you.
Yeah, don't do that. But from that to the fact that almost all of the beer that you brewed got drank. Almost all of it.
Most of it, yeah.
And then on top of that, we had 2 or 3 individuals bring homebrew mead that was amazing and just share openly. They just, hey, look, I brought mead. Have some.
Yeah, well, actually, one of our guests provided it wasn't what we intended when we showed up, but we had his mead, and we're like, you know, look, there's plenty of that, and it's amazing, so that's what we're going to be using for Symbol. And we tore through, 5 bottles of his mead during Symbol?
Yeah.
And you know what? I will say some of the mead we toasted Alf earlier today, or earlier in the show. He brought some. It wasn't the mead we used in Symbol, but man, he brought some great mead that I got to drink out of my new.
Brought some rocket fuel, man.
Yeah, it really was.
No. I got to correct you there.
Great.
Rocket fuel tastes like rocket fuel. This stuff was just high test, but it didn't necessarily taste like it.
No,
it was really smooth.
It was good, smooth drinking 19% mead.
Like, it's the kind of stuff that you drink a bottle and then suddenly realize how completely drunk you are because, holy crap, that did not taste like it.
Well, you know,
I know for a fact we had 2 people who drank more than they intended to the first night.
3, I thought. I think
Maybe
there was
3.
a third. He was trying to hide it, though.
I thoroughly drank as much as I intended to that first night.
And it was wonderful. Everybody had a good time. Nobody got belligerent or stupid.
No, absolutely. You know, that was one of the beautiful things. I've mentioned this a couple of times, but you know, as hosts, we're responsible for that site. And therefore, you know, we had to keep track of, you know, anything that went on, and we had to make sure everything was cleaned up and not broken at the end of the weekend, and deal with damages, et cetera, et cetera. And well, I found 1 broken bottle during the entirety of the weekend. Apparently, just me saying I like to reuse the bottles was enough to get people to absolutely take care of. Not a single person even threw one away. They put them exactly where I asked them to, right under the beer table. And just one of them broke. And to be honest with you, I didn't see it break. But looking at that break, I've seen a bottle failure before. Somebody was just trying to take a cap off and the bottle failed. So that's not even their fault. Yeah, it happens. But you know, like I said, one whole bottle got broken. And then we went out around to pick up trash at the end of the weekend, you know, just walking down all of the area that we were there for and responsible for. And I found 1 cigarette butt on the ground, and it was under the fire pit. And so it appears that somebody threw it into the fire and did not notice that they missed. That was the entire extent of the trash. These people did.
That's pretty impressive.
These people did exactly what.
It's what good guests
I always
do.
hope people will do, which is leave the place better than you found it. Literally everybody was a good guest. How do you get that many people in one place and everybody was a good guest?
So I want to get to this question because it kind of ties in.
Okay.
And let me double check who it's from here real quick. I think it's from Hannah. Hannah is the username. In an event situation, how does gifting fit in? Did everyone who showed up bring something for the group? And I can tell you right now, not everyone who showed up brought something to gift to the group. I brought gifts for the other people that I worked with, the host, the thing. Toby brought gifts. Lauren brought amazing gifts. I actually have my stuffed bear on my bed at the moment.
I brought gifts for the guys because and then I brought a couple of gifts for people who kind of went above and beyond for Kate and also for Autumn, who came and got me at the airport. But it's not something that you necessarily should. Oh, okay. That was my sign for them, so that I could actually find someone. It was awesome. And once again, I've said this probably 8 or 9 times. Thorin's wife is awesome. And I can also see one of the other wonderful gifts from Moot behind Thorin, but that's another story. There's a video of that.
Yeah, there is a video of that.
If you want to know the story, you have to go watch the video on Facebook.
I know it's really small, guys, but there sits the bouquet of unicorns in a place of honor on my bar. Because what place is more honorable in my home than my bar?
That's a good point.
So, what I was going to say with that, and my brain kind of is, it really comes down to gifting. I mean, it comes down to kind of the whole principle of gifting, which is, that reciprocal relationship. The guys gave me this great, beautiful horn, which I'm still showing off once again because I'm in love with this thing. Like, I can't wait. I can't wait for Midsummer just so I can go show this off to all the Arkansas heathens that show up and be like, look at my pretty. I'm probably gonna take me to the pub Moot in like 2 weeks, and I'm gonna be sitting around the Irish bar in town just drinking out of my horn because I feel like I could take this everywhere. Probably not work, but most other places I feel this horn is appropriate for. But it comes down to that, kind of that reciprocal relationship and gifting. I mean, gifting is, especially since I gifted Ensemble because that's important to me. That's I can talk this, that, and the other, but regionally that's something that's just very important to us, especially considering I'm trying to build my reputation as the knit giver. So, and can I digress into that story for just a second?
Go ahead.
So my late friend Rod Landreth, who passed away last year, he was actually the first person we honored with a toast on this show. He was known as the gnome giver, and that is because he, every gifting opportunity he had, for the most part, he gave some sort of gnome-ish themed gift. I actually have the gnome that he gave me almost 15 years ago out in my garden, and it was just. So when it came, so I've decided that I am the knit giver, and I knitted a couple of stuffed animals. I made Thorin some tools for his brewing, and just because to me that's a piece of me that because I do love knitting, but it's also kind of a piece of me. So, but those are things I gave Ensemble because I felt that those I gave to people that I felt I had that appropriate relationship with. Now, host gifts and stuff are great too, and I highly encourage everyone to bring a host gift, because anytime you go to something that's hosted, not just a moot. But there is also some importance to that gifting within kind of that actual reciprocal relationship. But either way, it was a lot of fun. I'm still jealous of their quadcopters. But yeah, to me that's the big thing, definitely you don't, remember that if you gift and it's not like a host gift, a token gift like that, yeah, you're entering into some sort of like uh, you're entering into something. You're entering into that relationship with people.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, like you said, not everybody brought a host gift, but in some way or another, most people did find a way to give, and sometimes that's the best, especially when you're considering what could, potentially be a very large gathering. I mean, Cascadia Moot had 30 people at it, roughly. I don't know what the final numbers were. That wasn't really my spot.
I think total we had 30 people, but some of them were just there for pickup and drop off and hang out.
Okay.
I think we had 25 actual participants.
Right. So
was what the final book count was.
Yeah, I'd have a hard time figuring that out, honestly. But yeah, so let's say 25, 30 people showed up, and if everybody had given us, something, super tangible to bring home, like a quadcopter, I wouldn't have had room in my car to get home. I barely did as it was. But we had, other things that might be an extremely appropriate sort of thing to bring to something like a moot would be consumables. Like a lot of people that brought alcohol. There were a couple of people. Like one thing, Lauren was there, and Lauren can't drink my beer as much as I wish she could. And then I had a little bit of cider to bring, and in the rush of things at the end of the beginning of the day on Friday, completely forgot about it. And then 4 cases of cider showed up that somebody just decided to bring.
And that's why Lauren was slightly intoxicated Friday night.
Just a little bit. And then, like I said, we had, Alf. He brought mead. Another one of our guests, Alan, he's the one that provided the Sumble mead. It wasn't just the 5 bottles that we had at Sumble. He brought a lot. And everybody enjoyed it. Hell, one of those bottles is still sitting in my cellar because of a conversation he and I had where I was telling him this is really great, and I'd love to see what a year of cellaring would do to it. And so he hands me a bottle and says, "Challenge accepted." So I flopped a label on it that has his name on it, says, "Do not open until Cascadia Moot 2017," and I hope to share that same bottle with him next year.
So real quick, I want to interrupt for just a second and talk about this.
Go ahead.
Alan, if you're listening, I want you to know that next year at Cascadia Moot, we will actually have an empty bottle trophy.
Yes.
It'll be on a stand. There will be an empty bottle. It's inspired by you, and I really hope that for the first year of Cascadia Moot, you get to take it home. Or the second year of Cascadia Moot. Because you really did.
The first year of brewing.
The empty bottle award.
Yeah. We definitely are going to try to do some sort of, competition brewing next year. We'll have to pick the proper judges for it. I don't know if it'll be the host judging or if we're going to pick some people to judge. Well, I mean, I'm automatically out because there's no way I can not brew for Cascadia Moot, whether it's a competition or not. So,
see, my thing is that you let it be a perk, if you come to Cascadia Moot, 4 of you will be randomly chosen to be 2 of you and then 2 hosts or whatever, and that way people will show up hoping that they get chosen to try all this.
Yeah, there we go. We'll draw a couple of stunt livers out of a bag.
Nice.
I've never met anybody who has a problem being a stunt liver.
So real quick, I do want to. So we are talking about the moot, and so I want to give some pertinent advice. When you are looking for a location for your moot, it is very important that you talk to the people who own the property and you get details in writing.
Oh
yeah. So
I don't want to go into specifics, really.
Yeah, but let's just use this as a general segue into be prepared. Shit's gonna go wrong. That's just a fact of life when you're trying to organize anything, and the bigger you're trying to organize, the more shit there is to go wrong. Some of you out there that I'm friends with know some of the trials and tribulations leading up to the event just involved in the brewing of the beer alone. That was a serious Murphy situation. Everything that could go wrong did go wrong when it came to brewing all that beer. I have never had so many things go wrong when brewing. But then we had some issues with the site, which those that were there.
We did get a couple of screwballs thrown at us.
Yeah, a couple of them, and you know what? I got to toss credit to the guests again. A lot of them really stepped up to help out with some of those curveballs that got thrown at us very last minute.
And you guys handled it with, I don't know how you guys were feeling on the inside, but on the outside, you guys handled it with grace and, I had no worries. Okay, shit has happened, and yet I felt as a guest that it was all under control. I know that likely that's not exactly how you guys felt, but
well,
still,
I think we all took turns telling each other it was all under control.
That works.
And honestly, that wasn't too far from the truth. We were prepared for things to go wrong. That was part of the reason we set things up the way we did, is because we have, I think most of us, if not all of us, have had at least some experience with being on the inside of an event of one sort or another, and we're aware of the fact that things will go wrong. Now, it can go wrong, they will go wrong, and you need to be ready for that.
Mm-hmm.
And however that preparedness manifests, be it through having a little bit of a cushion in your budget, which I highly encourage, cushion in your budget, because if things are going to go wrong, there's a lot of times where money is the solution. Hell, oftentimes it's the problem that's caused in the first place. So yeah, think about that beforehand. And on top of that, be prepared to go out of pocket. There was at least something somewhere with every one of the hosts where we walked into it planning on being out of pocket on one thing or another. And, to the credit of our guests, none of us had to be. So,
Thorin, do me a favor real quick. Just lean to the side and point behind you.
Yeah.
Shield's in the chat room.
Yeah, see, I told everybody earlier, since you must have just showed the chat room, the beautiful bouquet of unicorns has a place of honor in my home. It's currently sitting on my bar, and like I said earlier, there's no place of greater honor in my home to be sat than on my bar.
Yeah, it's pretty awesome. Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. We've got a question here. I kind of want to fold into this because somebody asked me, Lauren, would you? And I don't know who asked it, and I apologize that it's a little. It was 20 minutes ago, and I can't scroll back up. Would you possibly? Adora, okay, Adora. Would you possibly be interested in having a women's moot gathering of some sort some point in the future? Could that work? Okay, so this is like the funniest thing that you asked me this, because I messaged one of my friends on Friday, what do you think about having a women's moot? And then somebody else brought it up to me on Sunday about having a women's moot. And now you're bringing this up, so I'm thinking that's 3 times I should probably actually think about this. The problem I see with having a women's moot, and take it is really, to me, the problem I see is I would think it would need to be regional, because most of us can't bear the expense of taking off, especially women, especially most of us have kids, and so I can't bear the cost of taking off and going somewhere for a moot. That being said, the thought has been kind of pushed into me now. What I'm thinking of doing is, and this is definitely not going to be something that's going to happen until next year, because quite frankly, I don't have the ability to put anything together anytime for the rest of this year. The schedule's just too full. Of doing a Midwest, Mid-South women's moot. But that would, here's the thing. Heathen, it takes a community, and while that might necessarily be a tribe, but definitely takes a community to put on one of these things. It was, it took all 4 of them plus other people who weren't necessarily the official hosts to put on this event. They're expensive. I mean, like I said, they were talking about having to come out of pocket, and there's also just the physical output that was required. I mean, part of it was because I was, 2 time zones off, and I went to bed pretty early both nights because I require more sleep. So it's definitely a situation where, you're busy. It's work. That being said, I am more than willing to consider it. I'm more than willing to talk with other people who might be interested in doing a regional women's moot. And, definitely Lauren at heathentalk.com, email me, or, holler at me on the Facebook page or on Twitter, and I will definitely talk with anybody who's interested, because I do think that there's a need for this. And I do think that there are, Kate and I talked about it Sunday. I just feel like so many people have brought this up to me in the past week that there's something here, and something that needs to be, that there's a need. The problem is figuring out how to actually make it happen, and that is. And yes, if you can find me on Facebook and want to friend me, absolutely do. And yes, Jenna, you are a woman. You can moot. You can host it. Absolutely. If you want to do the Northeast, I'm on board with it. And we do promote events here. I'm going to use this to segue over into that because I keep saying I'm going to do it. We have a Heathen event calendar on heathentalk.com. So if you go there and click on events on the top, it's kind of hard not to miss, even if you're blind like me. We currently have 3 events in June listed, as well as one in November, but we want more. So, right now, our next event we have listed is mine. It's the Central Arkansas Pub Moot, June the 4th at Cregan's Irish Pub in North Little Rock. After that, Troth Moot is June 9th through the 12th at Fort Flagler Retreat Center in Washington. Our friend Ashley's Heathen Michigan Midsummer Moot is June 17th through the 19th at Wilson State Park in northern Michigan. And then Midwest Winter Moot is November 2nd through the 4th at Osage Hills Park in Oklahoma. So I know there's got to be more events than that, and we want to be able to promote your events. So by all means. So can I
share a private desire here? I actually want, and part of the reason I did Cascadia Moot and one of the driving forces for the podcast, I would love for there to be so many heathen events going on that we have a hard time keeping up with you.
Yes.
I want you to throw your events. I want you to ask us to promote them. And I want Heathenry to be about people coming together again. And at least in Thorin, in my region, that's tough to do.
It can be.
But we're working on it, and we're changing that. And based on what happened, that's going to change. And I hope that anyone from our region who's listening to this will get off their asses and tell us about what they're doing.
Absolutely. And I'm just going to go ahead and use this moment to plug Cascadia Moot one more time. Funny, I'm plugging it after the event, and that's not just because it's going to happen every year. It's because, we talked about it. We decided to keep the Cascadia Moot community page open throughout the year as a way of trying to promote this sort of thing in our region. So if you're out there, you're listening in our region, this isn't meant to be another one of those Facebook discussion pages where everybody comes and yells at each other until one person flounces and everybody else says, "Bye, Felicia." No, this is strictly for talking about upcoming events.
You really have no idea how to say it. It's "Bye, Felicia."
I'm sorry, I don't have nearly enough Valley Girl in me to pull it off.
It's not Valley Girl.
Thorin, you can come down and visit my mom with me for a little bit, and we'll get you some Valley Girl. It'll happen.
I just got to visit my mom for that.
Or at least the NorCal equivalent.
I'll say my mom's a Cali girl, so I just got to visit her if I really want that. And we can see how much of that I picked up, so that's how much I want it. But yeah, if you live in our region, you got an event coming up, hey, get a hold of us, and we can talk about it on the Cascadia Moot page and try to get people out there, because we've already obviously got a base of people on there that want to go to events.
Well, and the Heathen Talk, we have a built-in fan base, and we have people coming to our websites.
We do.
And this is going to sound, well, I'm just going to say it, use us. We're a resource.
We're kind of a big deal on the internet.
Kind of.
I said kind of. And
On the
guys,
internet, within our sub-community, live on Wednesdays. And if somebody else starts to get in on that, we're going to have to be like the one with no theme music. Are you listening, Jim?
Like public shaming to bring a show together.
I will say this, and it's also super easy to submit your information to us. You go to our event page at the bottom, there's a form. You put in the information, you agree that your event is not like basically that you can information you're giving me is true and you're authorized to share it, and that's it. And it sends me a little email that says someone has registered it, and we'll get it updated.
So, I missed the tail end of your spiel about women's moots.
Uh-huh.
And I do want to give some credit to Kate real quick. I know she is working on a project that is specifically for heathen women in the Seattle area.
Yeah, Kate is part of the reason why I feel like there's something to this. Because she was person number 2 that that talked to me about women's moots.
And I really think that, the women in heathenry, you guys are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah.
And if you really want to step up and become a driving force in heathenry, not that you aren't already, because I'm going to be honest, in my tribe at least, the women run everything. We want to help. It's not, we want to see women's moots happen. We want to see moots happen. We want to see you guys building and creating new traditions and new things.
I want to see men's
Let us
moot.
know.
I think that there is a place for men's moots, for men having male spaces that are to kind of deal with masculinity and
Men doing manly things.
well, and part of what I think is, like, for instance, coming of age things for men, and boys, and I think there's phases of life. Like I said, there's just so many things that I think could benefit from having men's events, women's events. I think it's actually kind of important. And I just don't want people to think that I'm just trying to, because I do have a reputation around these parts for being some sort of, like, liberal feminist, which I discovered in Seattle I'm not. In Seattle, I'm a moderate. That's great, man. So I definitely think that there's a space for those kind of things, because that's part of the reason I think many of us are drawn to heathenry. Because there is something that needs to be fulfilled in that part of our life.
There's certainly a lack.
Yeah.
In the overculture. Finally said it, guys. And,
if they're not already drunk from all the times we've said Cascadia, they haven't been playing the game.
That's true. But no, there is definitely a lack in the overculture of, of ritual, of rites of passage, of things like that, and which in some small part is part and parcel with the topic that Alan has inspired me to write on, though in a much more specific way. But yeah. Sorry, go ahead.
I went ahead and told the IRC that we want their questions, and we do. So if you guys have questions, please ask them.
Yes, I should point out, I keep hearing that my name says I'm in the IRC. I'm not. There's a problem on my end with the IRC. I can't get in, so ask all the questions.
You're not actually there anymore.
Okay.
Also, if you are watching and you're not on IRC, you can ask questions on Facebook. I actually have Twitter open. There's lots of ways to reach us.
God's Twitter.
But Shield did have a question. Has there been any fallout for being a public heathen? And the only fallout I have seen has been from calling out other heathens. And it's not usually very pretty. But I haven't seen any fallout from non-heathens.
Yeah.
discovering that I run a podcast or whatever. In fact, my last job interview, they were genuinely interested. They wanted to know more. But the fallout. Go ahead.
I got my job basically over a presentation I did on Heathen Talk. So my internship I have right now. So most people are fascinated.
Wait, your job is technically considered an internship?
We are hiring an intern so that I can take an internship. Yes.
That is fantastic. So, are our interns going to be the intern's intern?
Yes.
That's phenomenal. Thank you. I just wanted to clarify that.
I told you that this weekend.
I must have. I was drinking a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm going to interrupt, and I want to be perfectly honest with our audience about being a public heathen. We make no secret of the fact that back in January, I called out Steve McNallen for wanting to bring back the Freikorps. And some of the things that were said to me were absolutely horrendous. And some of the things that were said about me by a very specific blogger who really doesn't deserve to be named were hideous. So yes, there can be fallout, but the worst you're going to get is from people who don't like what you're saying.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, let's not try to pretend like there aren't places in this country where it's not necessarily a good idea to be publicly not Christian. But those places are few and far between. And for the most part...
and shrinking.
Shrinking. And I can pretty safely say that we don't have very many listeners that would have a problem, I think, with being a public heathen. And I mean, look at us. We're as public as we can get. And I don't think I've ever heard anything negative that didn't come from another heathen who just didn't like the way we're heathening.
I do have a different experience than you guys being in the Deep South versus being in Hipsterville. Oh, so many hipsters.
I just want to clarify that Lauren is in the South when it suits her point.
I'm in the Mid-South. But I'm in the Bible Belt. And one of the things, I have had a couple of negative issues for being heathen. My parents are not overly thrilled about this. We just don't talk about it. And the other thing is I got called into HR once. So because I was wearing a Mjolnir, and the girl basically the person who went to HR, her brother's a prison guard, so her only exposure to anything remotely related to a Mjolnir was, prison true, which isn't always the most. Anyway, so we all know what that means. So, but to be fair, I mean, we have ritual in my backyard, and no one cares. And I live in Little Rock, Arkansas. We are incredibly fundamentalist evangelical Christian area. Mm-hmm. I work in an office with a whole bunch of Christians and did a presentation on a heathen podcast and got a job, and people were more fascinated by the fact that we were able to take this podcast and build it up so quickly. I mean, it's a thing, and you know what? There are people who have been negatively affected here. I do know people who have struggled with child custody issues, and that kind of stuff. But it's getting better. And there's a wonderful group of ladies here in Little Rock who are all older pagans in their they're all older pagans in their 70s and 80s. And the stories that they tell me of what it was like being an open pagan in the 70s or 80s. And I'm so grateful for the way things are now. I really am. Because I can't even imagine how, I'm so grateful that I'm able to be out and heathen at a time when I don't have to worry about, legitimately horrible things happening to me, Child Protective Services showing up, that kind of thing.
So basically, there are some pitfalls to being publicly heathen, but it's getting better. I do want to get to Skullgrim's question here, and Thorin, I think this is mostly for you and I. What mistakes did we make in executing the event, and what did you try that we wouldn't do again?
I'm glad you got to that question because I was going to get to it next myself, so that works out really well. What mistakes did we make? Well, probably the biggest mistake of the entire weekend, something we solely laid at our own feet. I am going to go ahead and actually shift that a little bit to solely laid at my own feet. I was the only one of the hosts, well, other than Kate, but she was really following my lead on this, that lives local to the site. Josh was coming up from Eugene, Toby was coming out from Boise, whereas the site is 40 minutes from me in traffic. So I was kind of the one that was, it was on me to be the last stop before we hit site, and I was not prepared. I'm going to go ahead and temper some of that with the fact that there were a lot of really weird last minute things that happened that delayed me a little bit.
Yeah, it was a lot crazy.
Murphy decided to test us.
The kind of stuff that you got to call the cops about.
Yeah.
But we said, and like I said, so that caused us to get out there a little bit late. I think we showed up about 10 after 1, and one of our guests was already on site. Which I gotta give it to Ernie. He was the first one on site, and he was the last one off. He was there for the duration. Yeah, I mean, I think for all the Murphy moments we had during the planning of this, not a lot of straight up mistakes were made. We, like I said before, all of us have a little bit of...
I think the only mistake we really made was not getting terms in writing when we initially paid the site fee.
Yeah,
it's our first time. It happens.
It really was, and honestly, it was that particular snafu was something I know a few people that have held events on that site, and none of them had to deal with the same thing. So it's a relatively new turn of events to that site, and I think I'm not going to bag on the people who were running the site either, because the things were kind of new to them too. It's this, we held it on a Masonic campground. Masonic campgrounds are run by committees, and anything run by a committee is automatically run poorly.
And yes, that does mean that we are in fact part of the global Masonic conspiracy, guys. You heard it here first.
Heathenry.
You joke about that, but we actually had somebody give us crap for that.
We did. Yeah, we had questions about that. I actually relayed that to one of the two site caretakers at the end of the weekend. I went up to talk to him and told him we had. He was asking us how the weekend went, and I pointed out. I said, "Oh, we had at least one guy who didn't come up after he found out it was on a Masonic campground, because he was really curious about why heathens would have anything to do with a Masonic campground." And he just kind of looked at me and goes, "Does he know what Masons are? Because we really don't care what religion you are." And I'm like, "I know. I've got heathen friends that are Masons."
It's here's the thing though. I'm going to put this back into that which was good for the tribe is good. That was a good site, and even with everything else that happened, it was not an expensive site compared to some of the places I've been and some of the festivals I've been.
Definitely not. I mean, especially considering how close it is to the main I-5 corridor.
Oh yeah.
You're not very far off, but once you're about 15, maybe 20 minutes from I-5 where we were, and yet you are in the foothills of the Cascades, and there's no civilization anywhere close to you. It was fantastic. I go out there twice a year for other events, and I love that place.
I liked that. And I'm going to say this, and I'm going to probably get booed by some of the younger folks, but there was no cell phone service. So everyone actually was looking at each other and talking, and people weren't like looking at their phone while talking, which I am just as guilty as everyone else of doing.
Oh, absolutely. I'm terrible about it.
But it was nice because, quite frankly, it was nice to have conversations with people and not be interrupted by your phone or someone else's phone. Or
Well, I'm gonna put this part out there on that note is, for those of you that are trying that want to try to plan an event, yeah, that's a bit of a pain in the ass. Not being able to check the website, check the messages, et cetera, look for people that are having issues last minute. We had to keep having one person or another, run back up off to the top of the site where there was Wi-Fi connection at the caretaker's house just to see if we had incoming messages, which was, there's another pro tip for you guys. It's great to have a place like this where there's no cell phone reception. Make sure there's somewhere that you as one of the organizers can go and get in touch with the outside world, because there are going to be issues of people either coming in or leaving. We had one person whose grandmother was trying to get madly to get in touch with her, and we were able to get that message. I had somebody trying to get a hold of me, and I got those messages, and it was because, while we didn't have any sort of reception on site, we did have a quick and close by place we could go and run and check the message every once in a while. But
and that's super important. I mean, it's good to have the site where it's cut off a little bit from the outside world, but just in case someone gets lost or there's an emergency, you need to be able to check things really quickly and relatively often.
Absolutely. I mean, and I'm actually going to go back to say that the scenario we had as far as that goes is probably about as perfect as it gets. Because, one of us as the host could just hop in a car and drive up to the top of the site, check the messages real quick, and come back down. And when I say one of us, I mean not me. I didn't the whole time. That was not my job.
Or because they did have to run to town a couple of times, because you're always going to have not have enough of something. And
Charles,
it was really
you're
easy.
welcome for the hangover cures.
Yeah. I do want to say, festival pro tip: let your family know that there's probably not any cell phone reception.
Yeah. I'll say host pro tip. Did we actually put that out beforehand?
No.
We didn't, and that was our bad.
That's on us. You should also let people know about that.
For both festival goers and festival organizers, whether it's a moot or a camp out or whatever you're doing, make sure everybody knows how reliable their service is going to be.
Yeah.
We live in a connected world, and people freak out when they can't get hold of you right away.
Yes.
So it's best to just kind of address that at the beginning.
It really is. But, like Lauren was saying, it was really great to actually down at the site of the moot to not have any sort of reception. I showed up, and I'm that guy. I have a cell phone that has a monstrous battery life on it, and I use it so much that it's, I go from 100% down to 10% every single day. I brought my phone to Moot as soon as I got down into the actual on-site area where there was no reception. I flipped that son of a bitch over to airplane mode. I didn't even bother to turn it off. I just tossed it in a box. I didn't look at it all weekend, not even to check the time.
The only reason I had to charge my phone is because we recorded a couple of videos with it.
Yeah.
I took pictures with it, and we played some music with mine, and that was pretty much, it was just like a little computer. It wasn't even, and that, and basically the only reason I took pictures with it's because I thought I got the great idea I didn't need to check any baggage, so I tried to cram as much stuff as possible into 2 carry-ons, and didn't bring my camera.
Right. So, I think we've...
okay, so I want to make this real quick.
Yeah.
Make lists, because
Yes.
I forgot my horn, I forgot Cards Against Humanity, I forgot like 5 things that were kind of important. So make lists. Remember things.
Be prepared. Be prepared for everything to go wrong. Make sure that everybody knows how things are going to be run. We gave a statement of grith at the very beginning of the event, so that everybody pretty much knew what the rules were, and had no problems at the end as a result of it. Didn't have a single problem with a single guest the entire time. But so I think we pretty thoroughly covered the first half of that questions of, what mistakes did we make. Josh, can you think of anything that we did that we wouldn't want to do again?
No, I can think of things that we didn't do that we should do.
Yes.
But everything that we had set out to do, each of the hosts had a talk. Lauren did some crafting stuff. One of the members of the subreddit, New Sheep, did some crafting stuff.
Oh, it was so awesome. I now know how to do Viking metal weaving, and there's lots of it.
Yeah, he just randomly said, "Hey, would anybody want me to do this?" And everybody was kind of like, "Yeah." So he ran out, got supplies real quick, and taught whoever wanted to know how to do Norse wire weaving.
And so I really need to extend a thank you to him because he brought me into town so I could take care of one of our guests who had really drank more than he intended to do because meat is sneaky.
And I want to say thank you to the Ace Hardware store there in Granite Falls for drilling holes in a board and not asking too many questions, apparently.
You know what? It's Granite Falls. Some questions shouldn't be asked, and the locals know it.
But
also they're used to the FCA showing up there twice a year, so it's probably not the weirdest thing that people going up to that particular campsite have ever asked them to do.
On that note, I can't think of anything that we tried that we wouldn't try. I do know that next year we want to do a brewing contest or a mead making contest. I want to have. Is it Coob? Is that the name of the game?
Coob, yeah. It's
Coob.
if for any of you that have ever played it, it's that game where there's like several chunks of wood set up in the middle, and you throw dowels at them. It's a really ridiculously simple but fun game.
We'll call it Heathen Horseshoes. That's what it is. It's Heathen Horseshoes.
I really want to play, and I apologize that I cannot remember the name of it. And you would think I would remember because we played it at Winter Moot. And we did it at Winter Moot, and I definitely would like to play again when we where the game the thing, and somebody will remember this.
The game is the name of it is either Toffel or Neftoffel.
No, it's not.
Oh, is that not where you're going?
No, Toffel is something completely different. I'm talking about the game where you have a trunk and blindfolds and two people with pillowcases full of hay. And you beat each other. You play Marco Polo and try to beat the other person with a bag full of hay, all while keeping your hand on the trunk.
We talked about that one as well, and we just never got a chance to really dig into it to make sure we could do it right, so we didn't do it. And the thing with the Coob set was it was like a really last minute. Oh shit, we should do this. And I asked one of my friends if he could make us a quick set. He just didn't have the time either. So.
But next year we'll have Coob. We'll have a Toffel set somewhere, and I really want to see if I can get all the expansions. If we can get like a 30-person Cards Against Humanity game going on.
No.
To see how horrible people we are.
How long each round would take?
Yeah, you can't. You're much better having like.
What you do is you have like
of 10.
You have several tables going on.
I think
and
you're
just do a tournament.
I think I'm going to use a Bushism here. I think you're misunderestimating.
I've played in a 20-person Cards Against Humanity game, and it was horrible. I'm not even going to lie to you. It was awful.
See, we just have it to where you just set the cards down and pick them up. Like, oh, I need to take a break. Here's my hand. Somebody sits down and takes the hand. So
that I'm good with.
I get bored when there's like 10 people in the game. Just the rounds take too long. What we should do is have several games going on and make the winners face off, so that at the end of the event we get like the 3 or 4 most horrible people on site playing all at once.
Okay, the game that I couldn't remember the name of is Yams Wickener. I don't know. I found a video of it. I'll post it to the Facebook.
It's probably the one with the drunken.
Maybe I can convince Vince to come up and teach some of that folk wrestling.
Yes.
Glima?
Glima, that's the word.
Yeah.
I'm all about it. Let's do it.
We're tired.
So I'm gonna, for those of you that haven't figured it out yet, we're all pretty beat still. This is today was my second day back at work after Moot, and I was dragging from the moment I woke up. I still haven't quite recovered, and I had an extra day compared to Toby, for example. Toby had to drive all the way back to Boise and work the next day. That poor bastard. And he's currently hosting our feed, so bravo on him wanting anything to do with anything right now.
Yeah, I don't know that I'm ever gonna take another a red-eye flight again. Also, I was like completely blown away with how many people flew a red-eye flight from Seattle to Houston. Like it was like the standby list was like 20 people.
I'm not surprised. The last time I had to take a flight, it was red eye, and we connected through Houston. So it's just kind of a thing. Red eyes are cheaper.
That they are. Is there anything last minute we want to cover here? We got 5 minutes left in the show.
I got no more questions. I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and plug for those living in the Pacific Northwest again. You know, if you live up in this area, check us out on the Cascadia Moot Facebook page. It's a community page now, so that we can try to, if you got things you want to do, or if you're looking for events that are going to happen. I don't think anybody's posted an event yet, but you know, personally, I'm going to be posting a you know, hey, come drink with me nights. Moving on into the future, you know, trying to maybe on like Sunday nights or something like that or Saturday or Sunday nights, people want to meet up with me in a local bar. You know, see how many people we can get shown up to that. You know, we started some great momentum with people wanting to get together and meet space and, you know, join us around the fireside and have chats while we do real heathenry. I'd like to keep that momentum going.
They haven't even gotten a taste of the anyway.
Let's also not forget that if you are not in Cascadia or you are in Cascadia and you just want to get the word out, we do have our event page. Absolutely. And I'm going to plug it because I really want to be able to get out there and get this information for you guys.
And Lauren's absolutely right. Whether you're in Cascadia or not,
yeah,
Heathen Talk is here to promote good events and to help. It's just kind of what we do.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, this podcast is not how you heathen.
No.
This podcast where we talk about how to heathen. How to, you know, actually heathening is getting out there in the real world, in meat space, and doing things that trigger Thorin. Somebody got the joke.
Anyway, we really appreciate all the people who showed up at Heathen Talk, and I wanted to extend a special thanks to all the people who donated funds to Heathen Talk without coming. The fact that you guys backed the project so much that you knew, even though you couldn't show up, you wanted to support us, means so much to me. I cannot express my thanks enough.
It really does. It's super important. Yeah, we had a couple people that just straight up donated to Cascadia Moot, saying that, you know, use it to help fund the event, use it to buy somebody an entry fee if they don't have the money, you know, do what you want with it. They just wanted to make it happen. And, you know, even at the event, some of our guests stepped up and helped us with some last minute issues. And I'm going to go ahead and say a special thank you to Matt Puttycomb right now.
And Autumn.
And Matt and Autumn Puttycomb, because they were. That's funny. I'm sorry. He just messaged me on Facebook right after I said that. I don't think he even caught it yet. But yeah, special thank you to Matt and Autumn, who really stepped up and helped us with that kind of stuff. And those are the people that make this worth doing.
Yeah, it's especially, I want to say thank you to them, especially Autumn, for coming and getting me at the airport, and then hanging out with you guys before I left, and I got to have conveyor belt sushi for the first time. That was awesome. But, you know, once again, I just, you know, last thing I want to say tonight, Thorin, thank you so much, you and Summer especially, for letting me come out and crash at your house and showing me Seattle, all of the interesting things in Seattle that I wouldn't have normally seen as a tourist. But you know, it was really great, and Josh and Toby and everybody. Yeah, the doors are always open if you guys ever want to come out to the Midwest or the Mid-South, because most of our events we go to are in the Midwest because it's closer. But anyway, but definitely, guys, it was It was probably the best first-year event I've ever been to.
And thank you very much for that. And thank you for your company. You're welcome back at my home anytime.
Absolutely, Lauren. It was just such a pleasure to meet you in person.
Yeah, you think after a year of this, I would have met these guys before. I think that surprised people the most.
On that note, though, I just want to tell all of you that you're doing it wrong.
Unfortunately, you are the boss of me.
Have a good night, everybody.
See y'all
Good
next
night,
week.
everyone.